Welcome everyone and say good evening. Welcome to the Muskogee City Council meeting for today, October 26, 2020. Before we start tonight's meeting, we would like to recognize Tim Dorner as the October 2020 Employee of the Month. I'm going to ask that the members of the City Council will please join me on the floor at this time. Tim Dorner works for the Parks and Recreation Department and Forestry. Tim currently works for the Forestry Division of the Parks and Recreation Department. Tim has been employed with the City of Muskogee since November 15, 2011, and previously earned the title of Employee of the Month in April 2017. Prior to working for the city, he worked in California for a construction company and decided to move back to Oklahoma to be closer to family. In his free time, Tim likes to spend time with his family. He enjoys traveling and riding his motorcycle around state parks. He is an avid outdoorsman and enjoys kayaking and bike riding around town and around nearby lakes. He has a girlfriend of 2 years, and she has given him 2 wonderful bonus kids. Tim was nominated for working tirelessly often by himself while others have been off due to COVID. Assistant Parks Director Rick Ewan noted, "We asked to contact or go see a resident about trees or removals. He would do it right away. We actually had 2 residents call us to let us know how nice he was and how willing he was to assist in whatever way to resolve their issues." Karen Finley of the Parks and Recreation Department also said, "Tim stepped up to show leadership qualities. He also maintained good communication with the office staff during the pandemic. Thank you for being one of Muskogee's finest, Tim, and congratulations on this award." And let me also say that Tim has been actively involved in our committee where we're looking at wages and rates for our employees. So on behalf of myself, the City Council, and all of those who work for the City of Muskogee, congratulations. You all want to come a little closer.
Get where I can hide.
All right. It does it. Oh, no,
You got me too.
We will now call for the invocation and flag salute. The invocation tonight will be led by Councilor Tracy McGee, followed by the flag salute and then the roll call. Let us stand.
Let's bow our hearts and minds for a moment of prayer. Heavenly Father, Yahweh, we thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. Father, we ask you that you give us guidance and continue to keep us, our minds steadfast on you, knowing that you have appointed each and every one that's here tonight, and hope that we continue to keep the business of the city at hand. We ask all these many blessings in your only begotten Son's name, Yahshua Messiah. Let us say hallelujah.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Here.
Alex Reynolds.
Here.
Stephanie Morgan.
Here.
Tracy McGee.
Here.
Tracy Hoos.
Here.
We will now review or comment on the minutes from the special call City Council October 5th, 2020, and City Council regular session October 12th, 2020. Do we have any revisions to the minutes or a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Second.
It has been moved in second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
yes,
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes, and the item passes. We will now consider approval of the consent agenda, which consists of items 1 through 5. Are there any items that we need to move to the regular agenda, or do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
yes,
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes, the item passes. Item number 6.
Receive report on the COVID-19 pandemic in Muskogee, and if necessary, take appropriate action to authorize and approve a subsequent amendment to Resolution Number 2801, declaring a local emergency, or City-County Joint Resolution Number 2803.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mayor, and members of council. We are going to have our routine, unfortunately routine update on the COVID-19 pandemic. The task force did meet last week on Friday. We have seen over the weekend record numbers of cases being reported. And as you can see from Mr. Evans' report that he's about to deliver, that we are still at a high level, though not necessarily the peak of active cases within the city. So I would invite Mr. Evans to come forward and give us a situation report. We'll also have some other guests to report, including from the health department, and then we'll be able to discuss those presentations as well.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council. In front of you have the report Mr. Miller's referencing. As of today, we have 187 active cases of COVID-19 in the city of Muskogee. This is up from 171 last Monday at our last city council meeting, but less than October 5th and October 12th, which was in the 200s. But we are seeing an increase both citywide, county, and throughout the state, the number of active cases going up. I did talk to Mr. Kyle Coons from St. Francis today. He did state that they're seeing about the same number of positive patients that they have been seeing, but they do have more open medical and surgical beds as of today. They do have a couple of ICU beds open, but as I've previously stated, those change by the hour. As soon as they come open, they refill, and as he stated, that's been a yearly thing, even before COVID, is ICU beds come open, they refill them, so on and so forth. But he did state, I talked to him about 4 o'clock today, that they did have a couple of open ICU beds at that particular time. As I previously stated, we're at 187 active cases. Muskogee County's at 305 active cases. If you flip your page over to the state of Oklahoma COVID-19 alert system, you can see that all but 2 of the counties are in the orange. We're currently at 25.6%. For the percent of positive cases per 100,000. On the following page is the COVID-19 percent positive with that 7-day rolling average in the red and blue. As you can tell, it's kind of down a little bit from what it was back in September, but we are still quite high. On the following couple of pages, you've got the cases and deaths graphs that's been included in the previous reports. This is from the State of Oklahoma epidemiology report that comes out once a week. This came out from, I believe last Friday was the latest report that they published those. And on the following page, it says Oklahoma at the top is the Washington Task Force COVID-19 report from the 18th. As we stated that they're a little bit late on publishing those reports for City Council, but it's the latest report that's available for us to look at. Unfortunately, Muskogee is back in the red zone. If you look at that next page there. We were in the yellow, I believe, last week. The last time that we talked, we were hoping that, or excuse me, in the orange, hoping that we'd be back down to the yellow or taken off. But it looks like we've graduated back to the red for the localities in the red zone, both for Metro and the counties. However, we're off the top 12. The last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the top 12 and kind of where we've been at in relation to the chart. We're no longer listed. Muskogee County in the top 12 of counties. However, we are back in the red zone according to the Washington Task Force. And on the very last page, they have some different data as far as Muskogee is concerned. You can look at your charts. Each one represents a different unit of measure. And with that concludes my update on this. I would like to introduce Mr. Doug Walton from the Muskogee County Health Department to give an update on their behalf.
Yes. Hello, Tyler, Mayor and Council. We are seeing the same consistent numbers that Tyler's just shared with you. Not getting back to our peak levels of active cases, but not dropping and having some increase over the past week or so. Really not expecting to see a lot of change in that trend unless we have an increase in the mask wearing, face covering, social distancing, staying away from group gatherings, the things that we've been recommending all this time. With flu season coming upon us, that really is the greatest concern, I think, in terms of the healthcare capacity to both withstand the steady addition of daily cases, and on top of what might come with flu season. We are still offering daily COVID testing at the Muskogee County Health Department from 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. Monday through Thursday, and then and that's drive-through testing. That'll be happening even with this weather unless we have lightning, and then we will not be doing the drive-through testing if there is lightning. And the same with the flu shots on Fridays from 8:30 to 4:30, free of charge, no appointment needed for either of those. I would be happy to take any questions at this time.
Questions for Mr. Walton?
I would like to remind our citizens that they can be tested at the Muskogee County Health Department and a couple other locations throughout town. Urgent Care on South 32nd Street next to Wendy's. Med Now on Shawnee next to Freddy's. And Express Wellness on Chandler Road next to Charlie's Chicken all offer the COVID-19 test if somebody needs to be tested. And I'd also like to remind our citizens if they're needing more of these face coverings that we sent out earlier this year, that we have more of those available. If they need some masks, please contact the Emergency Management Department. I believe they also have some at the Utility Payment Center. Just simply drive through the Utility Payment Center on South 3rd Street, ask for some masks, and we'll provide you with some more face coverings if they need some. I'd like to introduce Trish German with Muskogee County EMS.
Good evening, Council. Muskogee County EMS, I did get a report that we're up about 4% from this time last year. So our call volume is going up. We're still having problems getting PPE in, especially gloves. They're sending it by the box instead of the case that we've ordered. There's really nothing we can do about it. Just keep ordering it and hoping that it comes in. We're still disinfecting like we're supposed to, getting the peppers out, letting the medics use those as appropriate for COVID positive or possible positive patients, helping protect the community, still disinfecting. Be advised, our Muskogee County EMS still has flu shots available. I will go out to people's houses and give flu shots by appointment only. All they have to do is call Muskogee County EMS, ask for Trish German, and we'll schedule an appointment. Or if you call, you can do a walk-in, and I can also give you a flu shot then also. Any questions? Have a great evening.
Mr. Mayor, that concludes my update. If there's no further questions, turn the floor back over to Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller?
Did just want to provide a brief update that the City County Task Force did meet last week and are looking at options and monitoring the situation very closely. Received a briefing from Michelle Keeling from St. Francis, and I anticipate we'll hear more from St. Francis as we move forward. But we want everybody to know that this is something that is taken seriously within the community, certainly with the city and the county very much so. And we are looking at all options within certainly the city employees' discretion on how we are able to handle it within that area. That being said, we don't have any further recommendations from staff at this time.
Mr. Mayor, are we recognized?
Yes.
Are you finished, Mr. Miller? Are you
Yes.
finished?
Yes, sir.
Let me make sure I got a good understanding of this. The state, Washington, D.C. said Oklahoma's in the red, correct? Is that correct?
Yes. That's what I heard, yes.
Okay. So also, Muskogee, we're in orange, correct? Correct.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, I think the feds say we're in the red and the state says we're in orange, and yeah.
Okay. But orange and red requires that we wear a mask and we stay 6 foot apart, correct? Am I correct?
It depends on which report you're going by.
Whether it's orange or red, the CD guidelines recommend that we stay 6 foot apart or wear a mask. That's my understanding. Am I correct? Am I correct, Mr. Evans?
Yeah.
In your report, if you'd like to flip to the Washington COVID-19 Task Force, they have the recommendations there. You are correct that Oklahoma is in the red zone for cases, according to the Washington Task Force. We're also in the red for a metro area for Muskogee County, and the metro and the county. They got 2 different charts there. And we're in the orange for the state of Oklahoma, their COVID-19 tracker system. As you suggested, the CDC guidelines, they all kind of suggest follow the same guidelines of wearing face coverings while in public and adhering to the 6 foot rule of social distancing and large groups, so on and so forth. I think both of them kind of follow the same format of what the CDC recommends. I'd say that's a safe assumption.
Okay. So I am correct. So by us being correct up here, I have a problem. You know, we canceled Bonanza for the kids downtown on Omag, Broadway. We canceled that because we were trying to do that for the safety of our citizens. And that was the right thing to do. But what I have a problem with is when I drove by the Muskogee Civic Center yesterday, that's owned by the city of Muskogee, I had a problem with that. That scene, I seen. We had 40 people in cars and trucks giving candies and playing games with kids. Kids didn't have masks. There was a few people out there that had masks, but not enough. You lined up, just like it's a ball game where you go get tickets, just 4 apart from each other. And that's called social distancing, and being 6 foot apart and having masks, and we're on our city property. I have a problem with that. As I said last time we was up here, we, as councilman, mayor, we're supposed to set an example for our citizens. And something I don't understand how that even got to occur at the Civic Center. Even if it was outside, it didn't make any difference. They still did not have masks on, and they still wasn't 6 foot distancing. I don't understand that. Do any of y'all have an explanation for me for that? I don't even know who organized it. Well, I do know who organized it. I'm not going to say, but I know who organized it because they said it. But still, that was wrong. We are in a situation where it's between life and death. And COVID ain't nothing to play with. Not even for candy. If I want to put my kids in that kind of predicament, I go to Walmart, buy some candy and say, hey, happy Halloween. That Civic Center yesterday did not have to be like that. It didn't. It made me sick to my stomach to see all those people out there lined up over some games and candy and having fun. Fun will put you under the ground with COVID. That's not only in Muskogee, Oklahoma. That's all around the world. But when are we going to learn that this stuff is serious? This ain't no game. You know. So I asked the city attorney before I came, and Roy, you know I asked you this. I said, what can be done on a situation like that? If this is done on our city property, we should know about it. It should be people out there saying, put those masks on and be 6 foot of distance. And what made it so bad, when all these people were piled together, here come more cars, more and more. This went on from 5 to 7 yesterday. Ain't no telling me how many carriers we got out of that that's going to get coronavirus. So I'm asking you, Roy, what can we do about that if we see a situation, we driving down the road as a counselor, or mayor, or whoever? Is it fair to have that civic center like it was yesterday?
A couple of questions are policy matters that I won't address, but your other questions related to enforcement, what the council did in one of the prior resolutions was to require that masks be worn on city property. And so if there is an event due to a lease or something else for city property, such as at the Civic Center or somewhere else, one of the conditions of the lease is that they comply with city policies and procedures. So they would be required to comply with whatever rules that we have in place. So in the scenario that you're talking about, the appropriate response would be for the event organizer to be told that masks are required and social distancing is to be maintained, and then that be conveyed to the participants of the event. Now, if the event continues and the policy is not adhered to, then it is going to very likely involve a situation where whatever staff member is out there from the city who's in charge of it is going to make a call to the city manager and ask for advice on whether this is an event we need to cancel because they've breached their use agreement, or if we need to make another recommendation that they comply with policy. It depends, and it would be on a case-by-case basis. But the fact of the matter is, I think what you're asking, Councilor Van, is we have a policy in place. It's up to us to enforce it effectively. And this isn't a monetary penalty, but it is a condition of being on city property.
So I bet you yesterday, nobody knew about this was going on. I get John Cruz, he's over the Civic Center, correct? I guarantee you he did not know this was going on at his Civic Center yesterday and our city facilities yesterday. Did you know it was going on, Mr. Miller?
I did not.
You did not know. See, that's where the problem comes in. You know, it's the problem. Mm-hmm. If I'm wrong, y'all tell me I'm wrong, but I don't think so. All I'm trying to do is trying to protect our citizens and our children. Like I said, when I rode that bus that day, all those kids got on that bus with those masks, and they kept them on till they got off. I don't know what they did when they got off the bus. But that shows that those kids are being trained to wear these masks that can protect us from each other. But if I don't know what I know now, yesterday I let Muskogee down because I should have got a hold of the city manager. I should have got a hold to the mayor and said what was going on. I let you down, and I seen this, but it shocked me. But I know from now on, I will be doing that if I see gatherings like that. It's just sad. I just want to bring to y'all attention tonight. Y'all against masks. A lot of people up here is against masking up and making it a mandate. Yesterday, like I said, those kids was in jeopardy, and those parents. So, Mr. Mayor, that is my spiel for the night, and I hope we got somebody's attention, because like I said, fun is fun, but death is death. If you don't believe me, just watch some of the people on TV that has lost somebody. Just imagine your mother in a nursing home and she's dying. You can't even hold her hand because she's dying, because she's got COVID. And people are going to say it's a myth and laugh about it. Not by us up here wearing these and me going right. Somebody on Facebook right now talking about me. I don't care. What's right is right, and wrong is wrong. And yesterday was definitely a wrong day for the Civic Center here in Muskogee, Oklahoma. I turn the floor back over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Van. Mr. Miller, did that conclude your report?
Yes, sir.
Item number 7.
Consider approval to award a contract to Morgan Services Company, LLC, DBA Morgan Towing and Recovery, to provide towing services for the City of Muskogee's vehicles and equipment, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Swepton.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Before you tonight is the towing contract for the city vehicles and equipment that we discussed last week. RFPs were sent out and received back. This item has been through committee with approval. Staff recommends approval of this item and be happy to answer any questions if there is.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Swepston on tonight, or do we have a motion to proceed?
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan. Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes, the item passes. Item number 8.
Consider approval to accept the Fall 2020 Safety Grant from the Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group, Omag, in the amount of $1,969, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Tucker.
Mayor, members of the council, I would like to invite Avery Rigney, our safety manager, to the microphone to talk about this item.
Good evening, everybody. In September, we applied for the Omag Safety Grant. Just last week, we were awarded approximately $2,000 from Omag. The only stipulation of this grant is that it has to be spent on safety equipment for public works. So what we're going to do with that money is get waders with steel toes for the water distribution department. Water distribution works long days and nights, keeping the water coming to the citizens. A lot of times they end up getting soaking wet. They have to either change clothes or bring a bag of clothes with them. So we want to be able to keep them dry for safety reasons and just to make their job a little bit easier. So that's what we hope to do with these waders, is make their job a little bit easier and a little bit more comfortable and safer. So I recommend to approve the grant.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion from the council? Roll call.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs. Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes, and the item passes. Item number 9.
Receive report on the October 17th, 2020 street racing event held at Hatbox Complex, and take other necessary action.
This is my item to be presented to the council on tonight by way of a report. We have had several activities that have been led throughout our city, and we want to always remind our residents that the city is doing the best they could with their local organizations and sponsors to try to continue to have events during this season, a season where many cities have been closed, yet Muskogee is doing what they can to maintain their ability to stay open. The event was attended by over 1,500 attendees, and it was a huge success. It's called the Okie Raceway Park of Muskogee, Oklahoma. We had never had a drag race attendance, the likes of which we've had recently, and we are determined to do what we can to be certain that we continue to have these types of events and highlight and showcase the good news in terms of what it brings to our city. I don't have the clicker. As you can see, the vehicles are primed and ready to go in this slide. And if we could, we didn't have a slide to show that the mobile transports where people can actually plug up to our systems at the Hatbox were almost completely full. There were families from all across the state as well as other states in attendance. We go to the next slide. It just highlights the type of vehicle and investment that those who race are actually willing to invest. We did have a gentleman here, if I'm not mistaken, Jeff, you could just nod your head, who participates in the reality television show, 3 of them who participate in the reality television show that highlight drag racing from across the country. If we go to the next slide, the attendance was full, and I do need to say in defense of Jeff and all of those others who organized, people were given masks. They took them off when they got into the stands. Next slide. I don't know who that is other than Stephanie Morgan, but it just highlights the fact that we did have several residents who were in attendance. Here's a rear view of what happened in terms of the cars that raced. I think it's a testament to show that Muskogee does have viability in terms of being able to host these types of events. Anytime a city our size can have people from outside the state as well as regional and national television celebrities by way of a reality show appear here in the city of Muskogee, not just in this past event, but in the testing tune, it's a testament that people do want to participate in activities in Muskogee, Oklahoma. And certainly I want to take this opportunity, since this is the last slide, to thank Jeff and all of his volunteers. And I want to highlight the fact that they are city employees that work so hard and so diligently to be certain that we can have these types of events here in the city of Muskogee. It was highly attended. It did draw from other states. We're happy that we were able to have those types of things at the Hatbox Field. I also want to highlight Mr. Wilkinson and his willingness to be certain that staff was able to conduct this type of event at Hatbox Field. There were several departments involved in this throughout the city. They were all there and present to be certain that everything was done and that it was done well. That will be the conclusion of my presentation to highlight that event. Again, thank you to all of the city staff, especially Jeff and John, who were so instrumental being certain that we can have something to do here in the city of Muskogee. Do we have any? Do we have any comments from council on the report?
Mayor, may I have the floor? I just
Yes.
it was a great event, and everybody's already been asking when's the next one. So it is something that the community's looking forward to on the scene as a continued event, hopefully.
And if I'm not mistaken, it rivals any other event that we've had in Muskogee in a long, long time. And so I think that we do owe a debt of thanks to employees who work for the city of Muskogee, who initially were willing to pay money out of their pockets to be certain that this event took place. We want to recognize and thank them and thank the residents for participating as well. So again, to these two gentlemen, why don't you stand?
Why don't you stand?
Thank you again. Further discussion from council?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, am I recognized?
Yes.
You just showed me last time when they had Jeep Jam, you didn't show too much of the pictures of the people there. There was a lot of people there without the mask. But today, with this drag racing, you really showed me. I appreciate that. You know, that's just good. That just proves my point right there. That proves my point. It's good to have this stuff. Why? While coronavirus is not around. But we got coronavirus. And you see all those people, you might have gave them masks. What kind of mask did you give them? Masks like surgical masks or masks like the city made? Did we give them that kind? Because I didn't see nobody but one probably when I was in it, when you took that picture, was in that audience with a surgical mask on. It's good to give the people the praise and the hoopla, but when you got a virus in your town and people in your town that can carry it and bring it here, and then they can take it back to their town and leave it here, we have a problem. This is all fun and games right here, these drag racing, because but not to me. That's why I couldn't clap when I ain't got nothing to clap about. Now when we got a virus that's killing people, that ain't no joke. That's what I'm saying. We need to stop playing and get right. And you know I'm telling you the truth. Everybody up here knows I'm right. This is not a pretty picture to show people that we don't have masks and we still ain't 6 foot apart and just breathing on each other. So this right here to me, I mean, I appreciate the people that put it together. That's good. But you should have put this together next year when the virus is gone, maybe. It may be possible. It may be gone by next October. But when, for sure, we don't know when it's going to leave. So, like I say, you're doing a good job on putting it together, Mayor, but I thank you for putting it together because you just proved my point. These people ain't got no mask. And the virus is here. I'll turn the floor back over to you.
Item number 10.
Discuss and take action to direct staff to prepare a council policy granting additional paid COVID-19 leave for public safety employees.
Councilor Stout.
Yes, I believe we have a citizen sign up to sign on this topic. Do we need additional time, Brian?
We have Brian Fuller who has signed up to speak to this item on tonight. We will hear from him before we hear from Councilor Stout. Mr. Fuller, if you give us your name and address, and you will have 5 minutes.
Brian Fuller, President, Local 57, IAFF. My address 102 North David Lane, Apartment 203. I come before you tonight and I ask Councilman or Councilwoman Stout, Councilwoman Hibbs, and I've talked to you, Mayor, about putting this on the agenda. What we're asking for extended leave time for our first responders. And what we're asking for is unlimited. They want to get back to work if they have COVID-19 as fast as they can. But some of them are extending past the policy that's in place, and the policy in place is 80 hours. I had a discussion with City Attorney Roy Tucker 2 or 3 weeks ago and explained 80 hours that we don't work 40-hour work weeks. We work on the average of 56-hour work weeks. And we got talking a little bit further, and I got checking into other towns around the state and Tulsa as well. But they're giving their first responders extended time, whatever they need to get back to work. And there's not a guarantee nowhere that says that you can't catch it again. And so we've got a firefighter right now that's getting ready to get docked after the 80 hours, 83 hours sick leave. And let me explain to you, after talking to some of the other union presidents and some other council in other cities, what happens is when you start docking their sick leave and when you start docking pay, and I'm not saying anybody's been docked pay here, but when you start docking sick leave and start docking pay like they've done in other towns, what they found out is their employees are not saying a word when they got it, and they're coming to work. And what they're finding is then they're spreading it to the other employees at work. And I hate to say it, but that's human nature. When you start getting in the pocketbook of employees or human beings, that's what happens. They keep their mouth shut and they come to work sick. And we don't want that. What we're asking for tonight is to change the policy, for the council to come up with a policy that covers the first responders. And if you want to cover all employees, we're for that too. I can only speak for the firefighters, but I'm asking it for the first responders. We're on the scene. We're first on scene in many cases, car wrecks, medical, house fires. We're dealing with the public all the time. And Councilman Ban, you're right. We come across a lot of people that don't have the mask on. We're in their homes. We're everywhere. We're touching everything. We're wearing our PPEs, and we're sanitizing regularly. But we're still got personnel that's coming down with the COVID-19. So what we're asking for is an unlimited extended leave for them and that they not be docked. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller.
Thank you.
Councilor Stout, and then along with Mr. Tucker, give us direction on what the motion should be for what we're trying to accomplish tonight.
So what I would like to propose is exactly what Captain Fuller has said, is to direct staff to grant the additional leave as needed for all public safety employees.
And before I entertain a second, let me be clear with Mr. Tucker that the motion is correct. correct to the agenda item for what we need to do tonight?
The motion would be to rephrase ever so slightly what Councilor Stout said, direction to direct staff to develop a council policy which incorporates the provisions that Councilor Stout talked about relating to unlimited COVID sick leave.
Are we talking about for all?
And that's where the discussion needs to be decided upon.
We could.
So, council, we need to have consideration along with Councilor Stout, since this is your agenda item. Are we covering all first responders?
Yes, all first responders, unless we want to extend that to all employees.
Discussion from staff. From council.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, may I recognize?
Yes.
You said we extend it to all responders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How the other employees are going to feel if we don't give it to them also?
That's what I just said. I said, or we can extend that to all employees.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't want to just extend it to them, but I'd extend it to everybody, give everybody the apple, not the piece of the apple, but the apple.
Right.
Would that work, Roy?
I'm sorry?
Would that work? By giving the first responders as getting this package that Mr. Fuller and the union has come up with, but I'm talking about we need to really give it all to everyone that's employed.
That's up to the council.
That's just me saying that. I'm talking about Councilman Van here.
Right.
Don't do one without doing the other, because I know if I was working for the city as an employee, I would want the same thing.
Sure. There are some levels of rationale that could be made that, first responders are going to come in contact with folks who are positive for COVID more frequently than, non-uniform employees. But, I don't have any scientific evidence to back that up because I'm not advocating one way or the other. I'm just saying if there is a rational basis that needs to be developed one way or the other, we can certainly work within those guidelines. So it's really whatever the council wants to do.
Well, that's what this council wants to do. I don't know about the rest of them.
Yeah. So if I may, as we're preparing this policy, we'll also try and see how other cities are handling it by comparison. We do need people to perform the duties that you expect them to do. And we do need to make sure that we have a policy in place that allows us to keep staffing levels when possible, to provide services that are needed. This is not the federal government did not fund this for cities to provide sick leave, to provide the 80 hours of sick leave. They didn't provide that. They didn't provide funding. So we're already going above and beyond by us doing that. The federal government did not provide that. They did not, they exempted police and fire and first responders from even being covered by this. We, as a city, decided that they should be, which is why we have the 80 hours. So we've been trying to be treating our first responders better than the federal law requires us to already. So as we go through this, I do think we want to have context as we look at what the policy is, because I think some people hear unlimited and they think they might think differently than how you guys are thinking about how that would be applied.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to ask. My question, what do we mean by unlimited? And do we have that available in the budget if we go with unlimited for all? And are we asking or saying that the people that have COVID, are we saying that if you've been around someone with COVID, what?
Right. And so that's part of what we'd have to look at in the policy that we're addressing. And that's all I'm saying, is that we need to provide some context around what that might look like. And so any guidance you can give us now as to what your expectations are, because we've already talked about it. Is it just for fire? Is it just for police? Is it for all employees? And what does unlimited mean? And all these things, we can guess at what you want those things to be. But if you guys have direction that you'd like to provide at this time, or we can, take our best guess and then bring it to you for further discussion in the future.
Here you go.
So currently they have to have a negative test before they can return to work, correct?
Currently, I'll ask actually Kelly to come forward. The CDC doesn't require that. As
I'll say one thing about the unlimited.
Yeah, well, Mr.
Would that
Chairman.
be all right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Maybe I should have clarified unlimited. Just what Councilwoman Stout said about the negative test. If they're still quarantined, that's what we're talking about. If they're still positive, that's what we're talking about. But of course, if they receive the negative test under the conditions, they need to come back to work. We're not asking for unlimited until they, and I don't have a problem within the policy that the supervisors or somebody can call them and say, hey, you need to be tested again, something like that. Whatever y'all come up with. Unlimited isn't just we're going to be off forever just because we feel sick, but under the guidelines of being tested.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stout, we do not require a negative test to return back to work. The CDC guidelines does not require that because sometimes people can keep the virus in their system for up to 3 months. The health department has advised us that as long as the person has obtained or completed their 14-day quarantine period and they are symptom-free, they can return back to work. There are many people who, through the CDC, like I said, has had that virus for 3 months. So, and it's not an active virus; it's just in their saliva, or whatever the testing matter is. Dr. Hoos may be able to answer.
They can test positive via the PCR for up to 3 months after the virus, but not necessarily be shedding the virus or be actively ill. Recommendations are if you're positive with the virus that you're off for 10 days regardless, but you have to be symptom-free, I believe, for 4 consecutive days. So it's 10 plus that. Now, to what he mentioned earlier, there are some cases we're showing that people have been reinfected, and it just varies. We don't know a lot about that. We're just kind of starting to see that here happen in the U.S. and in Oklahoma. But I think that I didn't realize the city didn't qualify for that, because I know like in the private sector, some of the businesses, if you're so big, you had to kind of guarantee some of these things if someone got ill with COVID. So, yes, there can be people that get COVID who are sick for 3, 4, 5 weeks. Young people, in their 20s and 30s and 40s. I'm going to say 50s is young too. So, they, who are getting sick for definitely longer than 80 hours. I mean, we can prove that over and over. That's not, most people, it's not that case, but for that risk is there. Quarantine times, if a family member is ill, you could be quarantined for up to 24 days and not be positive, but be under quarantine if you have a household contact. So that definitely extends over 80 hours.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard of that long.
So the other thing to mention is that we do have sick leave policies, and on top of that, so we do, your COVID leave is not the only leave you can take, and so we do have rather generous sick leave policies here at the city. Before you get into, as Captain Fuller was very, very good to point out, no one that we've been able to identify has run into a problem where they're not getting a paycheck because of COVID-19 at the city, and certainly not first responders, because of COVID leave and sick leave benefits through the city. And we certainly wouldn't want that to ever happen. So.
Right. But are you saying, Mr. Fuller, excuse me, that you didn't really want them to tap into what they have already built into their portfolio, right now?
Yes.
We want to just want to make sure we distinguish that.
Sure.
Mr. Miller is talking about sick leave policies. He's right. There's good sick leave policies that this union and the city and y'all have approved through negotiations. What you run into, COVID doesn't single out the older tenure of an employee. So say a firefighter that's just been here a couple of years, he doesn't have that much sick leave. So you're talking about wiping out sick leave, and now we're talking about docking pay. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about when we don't want to see anybody's pay docked. If they run out of sick leave, what else are we going to do? The only other thing is to dock their pay. And that's why we're here asking for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we at an imminent need for firefighters that we need to address this particular item tonight through policy and then direct staff to come back with other recommendations on what's going on with other cities the same way we did with firefighters comparatively to Tulsa?
I'm not opposed to that. If you want to wait, the only thing that I ask is that if a policy does go in place, that it retros back and cover the ones that are getting ready to be done.
Let me rephrase my question. I'm not asking to delay it for firefighters. What I'm asking is the need imminent that we should do it for firefighters tonight?
Yeah.
And
Yes,
then
I'm
come
asking for that.
And then come back with a study or with some information the same way we did with firefighters. Because what I'd like for us to be able to do, we already have the policies to compare to what we're doing with Tulsa for firefighters.
Yes.
We don't have anything to compare, Councilor Van, for example, for what we're doing, for what other cities are doing for their regular day-to-day employees.
Right.
Mayor, if I may, there's no firefighter that would be in a negative if we didn't adopt it tonight, and we are still trying to get our hands on Tulsa's actual written policy in regard to this. So there's no firefighter that would suffer any financial issues if we did what was originally proposed, which is prepare a policy to come back and deal with this.
Because I don't want to delay it indefinitely. I just want to be certain
As long as we're
that,
still talking about retroing back to
yes,
when we started.
yes,
Okay.
that would definitely be acceptable for me.
It would be for us too, Mayor.
Okay.
Now, how would we do the other employees, though, just like Mr. Fuller was saying? To me, a fireman, don't get me wrong, don't take this the wrong way. A fireman is very important, but a garbage worker getting our trash out and getting it to the dump is very important. Also, so if we approve it for them tonight, we ought to be able to go back and do something for the other other employees, is what I'm saying. Because you understand what I'm saying, Mr. Fuller?
Yes, sir.
Because y'all are important, but they're also, you let that garbage truck don't move, you're going to have to be pulling from other departments, which is done all the time. I've been here quite a while now. I know the game. You got to get that garbage out. Just like first responders, you got to get there because y'all got an important job. Just trying to be fair to everybody. That's all I'm up about, is to be fair.
So my recollection of the motion was that it was to come back with direct staff to prepare a council policy, and the discussion had been for all employees.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody.
To be retroactive.
And to be retroactive to,
Yeah, to the declared emergency, I would assume.
yeah.
Mr. Tucker, give us clarity on the motion, please.
Based on what I've heard so far, it would be to direct staff to develop a policy granting all employees unlimited COVID leave during the pendency of their illness due to COVID, subject to the following direction, and then that's what I was articulating is what the direction was, which would be periodic testing, and then whatever else.
Household contact or whatever.
Say that again, Counselor.
Like if they're having a quarantine due to other members of their household.
So could we just make it generic, following the CDC guidelines for quarantine and isolation?
Yeah. And under that, I so move.
So then to restate that, it would be to direct staff to develop a policy granting all employees unlimited COVID leave during the pendency of their illness due to COVID, subject to the following direction: periodic COVID testing, and following all CDC guidelines for quarantine and isolation.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Do we have any further discussion from the council? Roll call.
Tracy Hoos,
Yes.
Tracy McGee,
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan, Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Definitely yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed,
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes, the item passes. Item number 11.
Consider Consider approval of the appointment of Ann Barker Ong to the Street Advisory Commission to serve a 5-year term, replacing Doug Walton, beginning November 1, 2020, and ending October 31, 2025, or take other necessary action.
Councilor Stout.
Yes, after going through a few different people and to find someone to serve on this commission, Doug Walton brought Ann Ong's name forward, and so I would like to recommend her to fulfill this term on the Street Advisory Commission. So I move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Do we have further discussion? Roll call.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes, the item passes. We are at the end of our council meeting, and prior to going into an executive session, we have 3 citizens signed up to speak on tonight. First, we have Stephen Ezel. I'm going to ask that you come to the microphone and give us your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes.
I want people to see my actual face.
Mr. Ezel, I'm going to ask you to please put your mask back on.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Okay. Stephen Ezel, 6121 South 6th Street East, Muskogee, Oklahoma. With malice towards none and charity towards all, let us strive forth to bind up our nation's wounds, and to care for him who hath borne the battle, and for his widow and orphan. Those words were spoken by Abraham Lincoln to epitomize what our responsibility should always be to our nation's veterans and their families. Now, normally at this time of the year, the VA would normally, in a lot of areas, would be holding a veteran stand down. Now, you, Mayor Coleman, having been retired from the VA, probably have a pretty good idea what a veteran stand down is, but for those who don't, a veteran stand down helps to address specific issues that are great concern to our veterans. Veterans homelessness, veterans suicide, veterans unemployment, being able to get veterans proper education so they can perform tasks that would help them to become productive members of society. And most importantly, veterans' health in general, just basically also recognizing our veterans. Now, due to the COVID-19 situation, we are not able to hold a full-scale veteran stand-down through the VA or any of its subsidiary agencies as we would like. However, my esteemed colleague, Paul Mckinstry, and I, who's standing back here, have come up with an event to occur that would be in lieu of a full-scale stand-down, and he will explain the particulars of what this event will entail. To conclude, to finish the statement from Mr. Lincoln, to see the light which God gives us to know and do what is right, and to achieve a just and lasting peace among all men and all nations. Our veterans and families have sacrificed so much for our community and for our freedoms, and we owe it to them to be aware of their struggles and to address and combat those struggles. Because they're our husbands, our fathers, sons, brothers, wives, daughters, mothers, sisters, and our dear friends. And I thank you. Mr. Mckinstry, I turn the floor over to you, my good sir.
Next person having signed up to speak tonight is Mr. Paul Mckinstry. I'm going to ask that you come to the microphone, give us your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Paul Mckinstry. I live at 3301 West 46th Street South here in Muskogee. I've been up here quite a bit recently, so much that I'm thinking about running for the offices that you all have. So I'm getting to know everyone, and that's a good thing. What Stephen alluded to is what we generally call a stand down, because the stand down is not going to be allowed this year, and the VA never told me why they weren't going to have it this year. It touched my heart that we need to reach out to the homeless people regardless of whether it's through an official capacity or not. So I've talked to the people at the American Legion. We have decided, and you have a statement, that the 17th and the 19th of November, we will have a veterans stand down of our own to issue clothing, whatever support we can right here in the city of Muskogee. I've been known for the last few years to travel people from Muskogee to the place that they were going to have it, normally in Tulsa, and that won't be necessary. So we're doing this as an official statement to the city. We're looking for donations of clothing, anything that people can think of can be dropped off at the American Legion and the 17th and 19th of November, because those are our primary operating hours, that we would be willing to give those things away to anyone and everyone that's homeless or has a need for whatever clothing we can get. I've spoken to the church I attend, New Hope, and they have also agreed to provide free food, free breakfast, and for anyone that comes in to have breakfast, coffee, donuts, not to hang out as you say, but come in there, let's see what your needs are, let's get you the clothing that you need, because this is the best time of year to be doing that. And I just want to pick up the ball where the VA wasn't able to do so. So that's basically what this is all about. So the 17th and 19th in the morning, and just John Q. Public, please help us give donations. And we're doing it for male and female, because there's a lot of female veterans out there in need as well. And that's basically what it's about. And I've been asked to tell you this is a one-time deal. We don't plan on taking over what the VA is doing. This is just because they're not able to do it at this time. So if there are any questions, or just appreciate the support Muskogee's always given, okay? Thank you so much, and have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Mckinstry. The next person having signed up to speak tonight is David Allen Lavender. I'm going to ask that you come to the microphone and give us your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes.
All right. My name is David Allen Lavender. I'm homeless. I live in a tent at 2102 North Kingston. I'm still having issues. I'm trying to get help. You know, I've had issues with cyber crimes that's left me. I've had a broken arm, and someone's done these things to hurt me. And recently at the St. Francis Hospital, I had evidence of it where they did X-ray on my back, and they just did another X-ray at Family Children's Services. Well, I just got the MR on my back. This has been since April. I had to take an ambulance there. And, you know, I went to the police and asked for help. And I want to read something to you. This is from the Department of Justice, Deprivation of Rights under the Color of Law. United States Civil Code, Section 240, Title 18, United States Civil Code, subsection 242, makes it a crime for a person acting under the color of any law to willfully deprive a person of a right or privilege protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States. For the purpose of Section 242, acts under color of law will include any acts not only done by federal, state, or local officials within their lawful authority, but also acts done beyond the bounds of that official's lawful authority. If the acts are done while the official is purporting to or pretending to act in the performance of his or her official duties. Persons acting under color of law within the meaning of this statute include police officers, prison guards, and other law enforcement officials, as well as judges, care providers in public health facilities, and others who are acting as public officials. It is not necessary that the crime be motivated by animus towards the race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin of the victim. It says the offense is punishable by a range of imprisonment up to a life term, the death penalty depending on the circumstances of the crime and the resulting injury, if any. I tried to report to a few police officers about what had happened. I filled out the citizen report. I came back in after not hearing anything, spoke to a city attorney, Brooks, assistant city attorney, who ignored what I said, and I explained to him, that I forget what it was, but he was denying me when I explained to him what had happened, that it was my rights to get help. He ignored me. Good luck with that, and went back in there. So, I'm coming here for help because that's the type of help I need. I'm not looking for an attorney to sue the city. I'm looking for help from the city. And that's my main goal, and I've got recent evidence, and obviously if my arm's been broken and I've been to the hospital, nothing's happening, trail of events, laying on the ground with my arm broken, financial loss, the injury that's caused, I lost a $10,000 Harley in this ordeal, mental health, lots of injuries of pain and suffering, and this isn't fun being homeless when you've worked and earned disability and people are sabotaging that process. So, you know, I just wanted to readdress the issue and try to get help. And now everyone knows about what's going on, and I'm asking humbly and kindly if you don't mind helping me get this matter resolved. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Item number 12.
Consider an executive session to discuss and take possible action on the following. A, pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, excuse me, consider convening an executive session to discuss the workers' compensation claim of Lauren Heitch and, if necessary, take appropriate action in open session. B, pursuant to Section 307B1, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to evaluate the performance of City Manager Mike Miller, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session.
Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Second.
Tracy Hous, Tracy McGee,
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed,
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes, please excuse us while we go into executive session at this time. Now reconvene from executive session. Roll call.
Mayor Marlon Coleman,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed,
Here.
Ivory Van,
Here.
Jamie Stout,
Here.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Here.
Alex Reynolds, Stephanie Morgan,
Here.
Tracy McGee,
Here.
Tracy Hous.
Here. Mr. Tucker.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 12A, pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, the City Council did convene an executive session to discuss the workers' compensation claim of Lauren Heitch. After being briefed on the status of that claim and a settlement opportunity, an appropriate motion would be to authorize the city attorney to settle the claim of Lauren Heitch in the amount discussed in executive session.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second concerning item A. Roll call.
Tracy Hous,
Yes.
Tracy McGee,
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan,
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed,
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes. Item B.
Pursuant to Section 307B1, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, the City Council did convene an executive session to evaluate the performance of City Manager Mike Miller. That evaluation did occur, and the results were presented to Mr. Miller. No further action is necessary at this time. Mayor?
Thank you to Mr. Tucker and council. We are now adjourned.